Twitter stock is up almost 80% for the year, but at the time of this recording, they actually dropped over 10% in just one day. And so the question remains, is Twitter stock a good buy given that it's already up so much for the year? Well, what about that 10% drop today? Is that a good entry point? Or is that a sign that the stock is up so much already that any negative news is going to ruin your investment? Let's find out. What's up everybody, my name is Ale and welcome to My World of Finance. Twitter was actually requested as a stock for review by a subscriber. So if there's a stock that you guys want to see me review, make sure you let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to leave a comment letting me know if you're bullish, bearish, or neutral on the stock for Ale's World Consensus, and I'll tally up the results and I'll have that for you guys in a future video. Previously, we looked at L Brand stock, and out of the subscribers that voted, 10% of you were neutral, only 30% were bullish, and the majority of you, 60%, were bearish on L Brand stock. And I myself am a little bearish on it, you could probably tell by the video, but out of the ones that voted and based on the comments that I read, it looks like most of you are concerned about growing online retail as competition and the trade war with China also being a major concern. All right, back to Twitter. Now looking at their performance for the past 5 days, you can see that they were doing pretty well in the first few of those days, but then they had a pretty horrible day today, down over 10%, which really hurt their performance for the week. Still, year to date, they're up around 77%. And when looking at the 5-year chart, you can see that they have this kind of what I like to call like a U-shaped valley kind of chart. And so they're only up 2% for the last 5 years, which isn't that great. But perhaps the most interesting chart is their 6-month chart, where you can see that they had some monstrous months, especially February and June, where they were up around 25% in each of those. And so you can start to see that this stock is a little volatile, where investors likely react in a very large way to the current news. Now, as far as the company goes, you've probably heard of Twitter before. They're a very popular social media platform, very popular among casual users like you and me, but also heavily used by major celebrities and major corporations that use it for marketing purposes. All right, now let's run through some of the pros before we get into some of the cons. Now, looking at their balance sheet and income statement, I'm fairly impressed. It's not looking too bad. Their cash and short-term investments is sitting at about $4 billion, while their current liabilities, even combined with long-term debt, is still only at about $2.5 billion. So you're looking at a ratio there of about 2 to 1, almost 2 to 1, which is pretty good considering that I've seen much worse in similarly hyped up stocks. All right, now looking at their income statement, it's also looking pretty good. Their revenue and net income has been up practically every single year, but their net income is technically negative, although they have been improving at a pretty decent rate, and their last 2 quarters they were actually profitable. Now, they obviously don't have as large of a user base as a company like Facebook, but it has been growing. In the last quarter, they reported that daily active users were up over 10%, monthly active users were up over 3%, and that may not sound like a lot, but it's sitting pretty high at about 336 million users. On top of that, their ad revenue was up over 20% year over year, and that's a pretty big deal because over 80% of their revenue actually comes from ad revenue. And if you think that that's big, their international ad revenue was actually up even more, up over 50% year over year. Another reason why analysts are bullish on Twitter stock is because of their growing live video features, which continue to attract both content producers and advertisers because of growing ad engagements, which by the way were up over 70% in the last quarter. Okay, so we're seeing some pretty good things so far. So why did the stock drop over 10% in one day? Well, likely the biggest reason is because Twitter announced that they were suspending over 70 million accounts, which sounds like a very large number considering that their monthly active user base is 336 million. But you have to remember that that's monthly active users, not total users. And you also have to remember that the accounts that they're suspending are accounts that are fake accounts, robot accounts, suspicious accounts, or even inactive accounts. And so I think that many would actually argue that this is a necessary step in order to improve the platform. You definitely don't want a bunch of suspicious accounts, robot accounts, spamming accounts, things like that. You don't want that on the platform. You want to kind of clean it up and provide a better experience for the consumer. And so I think it's a necessary step. But when you're talking about a stock that has been up so much, you're probably going to get some very picky investors who are going to jump ship if you get any kind of controversial news. Not necessarily negative news, but any kind of controversial news can likely hurt the stock, because when a stock is just up so much, any kind of little controversial news or any little reason can help correct the stock a little bit. And speaking more to their performance and the stock being up so much, we can maybe argue that this stock is a little pricey at this point. When you look at some of their ratios, when you look at their price to sales ratio, that's sitting at over 7, which is pretty decently high. We would definitely want that to be a lot lower. Ideally, you want it to be under 1. Maybe it's an industry where you can't always get that, but you definitely want it to be a little lower. Their PB ratio, price to book ratio, is also sitting at over 3.5, which again is a bit high. So I think some people would argue that this stock is maybe a little pricey. And so that leads me to my conclusion, which is that I'm left feeling a little uncertain about the stock. Now, on one hand, I'm definitely very bullish because they have a pretty good balance sheet, especially for the industry that they're in. They continue to improve their income statement as they continue to chase profitability. Some might argue that they're a bit pricey, but a counter argument to that would be that you're paying a higher price for future growth. They continue to impress, they continue to report pretty good numbers. They're growing their user base, ad engagements are up, especially with growing live video features. International growth is like through the roof. So there's a lot of pros there as well. I'm also left thinking about the fact that practically every major celebrity and major corporation has a Twitter account. And so you have to have a Twitter account to really follow them and keep up to date with everything that they're tweeting. And so that's kind of like free publicity. So overall, I think I'm more bullish than anything else, but maybe not enough to be buying the stock just quite yet. I feel like there's other stocks that I like a little bit more that are maybe a little bit of a better value as well. But who cares what I think? It matters what you guys think. So make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know if you're bullish, bearish, or neutral on Twitter stock, and I'll tally up the results and I'll have that for you guys in a future video. Also, don't forget to support the channel by hitting the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful day, and take care. Bye.